Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hello, my sweetness.
How
Hello,
you
big
been?
guy.
Good. Good. Just
Anyway,
taking.
I was noticing the cat. I was trying to break the cat of the habit
Mhm.
of calling my furniture. So I tried the scratching post, and here's the scratching post, and it did not work. So
Well, what
I
you
bought,
have
look
to
what I bought.
do.
I bought this. I bought a
Oh,
mat, and the mat came with this, my
ooh,
secret
catnip.
weapon. Catnip.
Nice.
So what I'm going to do is I'm taking the catnip out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, someone told me that there's also the herb that makes catnip is available to humans, and you can make a tea out of it.
Oh, I
This
think
is
I've seen something. I think I've seen some video of somebody making catnip tea and giving it to their cat.
no, but
It's
I've heard of humans. Anyway, here I'm doing. I'm going to spread the catnip on. Aha, and there she goes.
yes, yes, excellent,
Yay!
excellent,
Yes. I have solved the problem. I've outwitted my cat.
wonderful. Do you know
What
there's
is it
also
about my ego that I take such pleasure in outwitting a cat?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess because it's something you can tame and control. It gives you a sense of power.
Yes.
Um, I was
Control your cat. Drug your
gonna,
cat.
I was gonna say because I think there's another method which you do is you take an article of clothing and you put it on the scratching post because the whole point is that they're trying to put their scent on the object, so they scratch it to get their scent on it. So that's how you get them to scratch on it. Um,
That's
but
interesting.
I was gonna think about today's topic, um, about whatever happened to the smartest kid in your class.
I don't know. I have no idea what happened to the smart. All I know is the bratty kids that made fun of you and bullied you. Um, a lot of them turned out to be really nice adults, really nice, very,
Interesting.
very nice people as adults. In fact, I became friends with, as an adult. I became very good friends with one in particular. He
Hmm.
used to bully me. He apologized. we
I think we talked about
actually became
this.
very good friends later on in life. Um, but there was this one girl who bullied me, who I met later on as an adult, and it's really sad. She never got married, never had kids, and was always like kind of depressed.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, that's not nice. Yeah,
yeah.
I can't think of my experience, and it's just like one guy that was like really, really smart, like super smart, um, became a journalist,
Wow.
which to me is kind of like, I don't know. I'm not
Is he
saying
well
not
known?
what?
Is he well known? Is he a political commentator, political
No, he's
analyst,
not well
some
known.
sort?
This guy was like 12 years old when we were in ninth grade and graduated like a year ahead of us. Like just brilliant, brilliant guy.
Mm.
Um, and as far as I know, I check up on him, like,
Mhm.
or I'm on like a WhatsApp group with all of the alumni, and he has various projects and whatnot, but his main thing is journalism, as far as I know.
Does he write for
Um,
any well-known publications or anything?
I think he did some stuff for the Washington Post, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow,
I think he did. I think he did. I
pretty
could I
good.
could be very wrong, but I believe he
Mhm.
did something for the Washington Post. Um, and I'm trying to think, like, the other people I would say that like were really smart. I'm trying to like one person, he became a social worker from Johns Hopkins.
Mhm.
Um, so that was really cool. Um, but I'm trying to think because there's also like
I
some
know.
other.
A couple of this one um young man um that I was friends with, who was very brilliant. Unfortunately, he went to Hopkins,
Yeah.
brilliant guy. I think he had a scholarship or something, and unfortunately had a bout with mental illness. And I know I heard rumors that wound up, um, he just wound up on the streets and eventually passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a brilliant guy. And another brilliant guy I knew, kind of, uh, now I think we spoke about him before. He dropped out of college. He was going to MIT.
Hmm.
Brilliant guy. And he called me a week after he was in MIT and said, "You wouldn't believe the thousands of students walking around here whose life ambition is to blow up the earth."
Hmm.
And I think that did something to him. And he became he dropped out of MIT, and unfortunately, Jewish guy, and he his parents were these like very anti-religious, reformed of the reformed Jews, and he became a Christian evangelical.
Interesting.
We have some sort of Christian coach, which was very, very sad, because never knew what was available in our own religion.
Well, that's just something that like I feel is it is very frustrating because there's so much really to offer if you know what to look for. I think a lot of people get lost and get picked up by the wrong crowd,
Yes.
and they wind up leaning into one thing or another.
Hmm.
It's why I was talking to someone, and I was explaining to them because we're looking, God willing, for a nursery, someone to watch.
Um,
Just
I think the cat got into the catnip.
oh no, what happened? Is he like
I'm looking
totally
for
like
it. Where
bonkers?
is it? What did she do? Where is it? Oh, here it is. I found it on the chair. Whoa, but
Yeah, he would have
she's
gone
having
nuts.
she's having a very nice time. She's like,
So this is what I was
I
saying
am
was I was
totally drugged out.
so what I was speaking to him, this I guess this place for watching infants and whatnot. It's run by this Jewish woman. She's Reformed, but she's very familiar with the Orthodox community. And there's Orthodox Jews that I think highly of that use her. And I was curious enough and just wanted to poke around a bit. And I asked them, what they feel is Judaism and are they proud of their Yiddishkeit? Because
Mhm.
I think that's something to me is something that's very important.
Right.
Like I'm not saying, Shabbos and kashrus isn't important, but what I'm saying is when it comes to the essence of an neshama, if you're proud
Mhm.
of who you are and proud of your Yiddishkeit, there's something to work with.
Mhm.
There's something to hold on to and work through. But if you're not proud of being a Jew, I think that's kind of like what killed a lot of Yiddishkeit in like the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Oh yes,
Because
definitely. I remember. Yep.
yeah. And it's
Hmm.
funny because I was
Sure.
even listening to a podcast and they were talking about Orthodox Judaism in the 50s. And Orthodox Judaism in the 50s would be like conservative Judaism is today, where it's like they
Hmm.
really like they had like one rabbi who knew what he was talking about. No one else kind of knew. They were kind of sifting through like what was going on. Because I remember even speaking to Tati, we were talking about his mother's father, the one that went to
Hmm.
Base Lubavitch.
Right.
And he was saying about how he remembers his mother's father gave them money to get ice cream, and I think it was on Rosh Hashanah, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm aware that like her side was supposed to be more Orthodox than Pop's side, and that's where it's just like I think thanks to the internet and thanks to Chabad and Aish and all these other programs and people, there's more education out there.
Yes.
Um, and everyone else is do what they can to educate, and it gets difficult sometimes because I know for me, like I was trying to speak to people. I think I've talked about this on the podcast a couple of times, where I tried talking to someone online, and I'd be like, oh, try Chabad.org for your information, or try this or try that, and like someone else would like pop up and like just be really snarky and really rude and be like, well, that's not right, that's not appropriate, Tanya's this, da, 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 da. And I mean, like that's kind of where I kind of stopped. I stopped doing it.
I understand because Chabad. I mean, I've come across a lot of people who are aware that Chabad.org is a really good place to get actual factual information.
No, these people are
about
just
Jewish practices.
These people are just egotistical morons. That's all. They're self-centered, egotistical morons. I think that they're the ones that are going to have to say everything. I'm not sure if I mentioned on the podcast. I think I know I did mention on the podcast. It was last week, of what happened with the tunnels and things like that, and people just being idiots. And there's a new viral. There's tons of memes and viral videos coming out that some of them are pretty funny. Some of them are pretty funny. A lot of them have to do with Ninja Turtles, to be honest. But one of them was like there was a picture of a sitter, and then underneath it was like a Sefer Mamarim, and the style of the pages are blotches, are marble blotches, some of them red blotches, just because that's the style of the pages. Some person saw that, zoomed in, and made a Twitter post of saying, "See, there's blood on these pages, blah, 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 blah." Like, you're an idiot.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen a lot of books, like especially like Jewish books, where there's on the outside of the pages, there's this like marble white and red design. I've seen that. Yeah. What's the reasoning behind that?
It's just a style. No real reasoning. Like it's not that deep. Some stuff in Judaism, it's just the style of the situation. Like the I'm pretty sure you've heard this story before. I'm not sure if I mentioned on the podcast, but there was this Jewish man and Jewish woman. They just got married, and they're about to enjoy their get ready for Friday night and Shabbos day meal. So the woman starts taking out the meat and chopping it really, really small.
Oh, yes, I've heard this one. Yeah,
really, really small. And I think I mentioned this before. And it's a whole long thing where the husband looks and sees the meat and says, "Why so small?" She says, "I don't know. That's what my mother did." And he asked the mother. She says, "I don't know. That's what my grandmother did." And he asked the grandmother, and she's like, "Yeah, we had a small pot." So it's this thing that happens where it's like this chain of information where like you're just holding on to this because you think it's important, and like you'd be surprised what's important and what's like not so important. Do you remember anything from Bubby what she would do, and then like later on you learn like, oh, things got misconstrued, or like that doesn't make any sense?
I don't know. Everyone knows the old thing about pulling your ear if you sneeze.
Okay, pulling your ear after you sneeze.
Yes. Then there was one time at dinner. There's this. It's a Goyish belief actually. About you spill salt.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a bad simon. So what you do is you. It's not Jewish, by the way. But Laura and Hardy had this in one of their comedy movies, where if you spill a lot, accidentally spill salt at the table, you're supposed to make a wish and throw it over your left shoulder.
Oh.
So there was this Laura and Hardy movie where Stan's sitting at the table and he accidentally does that. He spills a whole bunch of salt, and Hardy says to him, "Look what you did, and don't you know it's bad luck? Now make a wish and throw it over your left shoulder." So he makes a wish, he throws it over his left shoulder, and he hits, like they're on this like work gang or something, and he hits the supervisor in the face.
Oh gosh.
So I remember one time we were at the table, and I don't know if my older sister, somebody spilled the salt. My mother says, "Make a wish and throw it over your left shoulder." She doesn't hit me right in the face. I'm sitting next to her.
Oh wow. Yeah,
so that's not Jewish at all. That's like I said, it's a Goyish Bebbe Meise. Trying to think if there's any the Yiddish Bebbe Meises that went on in my house. And try this guy. Oh yeah, don't show. We were talking about this in where I work. Don't show a baby his own face or her own face in a mirror until they at least have their first tooth.
I heard that one too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that one actually has.
Merit to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it has any merit to it.
And my Iranian neighbor, when her daughters were 2 years old, she would shave their heads.
Oh
And
yes.
she said that they do that in Iran, and with the belief that something is going on with the body right at the age of 2. You can't wait till 3. Can't wait till it's momish their second birthday. And if you shave the head of a baby girl on her second birthday, that's how they grow that nice, thick, beautiful, dark hair that Iranians are known from. So she was begging me when Mushka was 2 years old to please shave her head. And in our family, we don't have much hair growth. And I said to her, "Are you kidding? It took me 2 years for that little bit of hair." She had
I,
that teeny little bit of hair. In fact, when you boys had your upshurnish,
yeah.
um, your father would take you. The first upshurnish was Yehuda, and of course, you know that your father would take him over to Rabbi Taub's show and have honor Rabbi Taub with doing the first, haircut. Rabbi Taub had a custom where he would take electric scissors after everybody snipped the different snippings at the upshurnish, and he would shave the little boy's head, just leaving the payas at the side. I said to your father, "Don't you dare let Rabbi Taub come near our boys with those electric clippers." So your father, by his promise to Rabbi Taub, starts with, he's starting to plug in the clippers. And your father says, "No, no, no, please. I promise. No, please, no clippers. We want to honor you. You want to clip a little bit of the hair, as an honor. Okay, but no electric clippers." So after the upshurnish, when we took your brother to a professional barber to have the regular haircut, the barber said, "It's a good thing you didn't let Rabbi Taub near your kid with clippers, with electric clippers. Your son's hair is so thin, those clippers would have burned his scalp."
Oh wow.
And the barber, as a matter of fact, said that he is not going to use clippers on him. He's just going to give him a scissors cut,
Hmm.
because that's all, with his hair being so thin, that's all he feels his scalp can, really take. And so after that, we did the same thing. We just, scissors to honor whoever wanted to, to be honored at the upshurnish. And then afterwards, we would take him, to this barber who was very, very familiar with the Frum customs of the Frum community, not to shave the sides of the head. And same thing from then. It was like all of you, the same barber would just used scissors, like a scissors cut.
Yeah. I remember Tati being really into don't walk over somebody, walk around them.
Right.
And I
Yep.
always think like, was there anything to do with that? Did anything matter?
Not that I'm aware of.
I think
He said something that there was a belief that if you walked over a person, it would stunt their growth.
yeah, that's a Russian thing. That's a Russian thing. And I think that's what kind of
Uh-huh.
developed. Um, you know, it's just I think it's just a conspiracy theory. But I remember Tati just getting very anxious about it, very intense about it. Very
Yes.
worried.
Trying to
But
think but I'm trying to think what other Bubba Mice's.
I mean, one thing's not
Oh,
about.
don't
Oh,
eat the heart of a chicken, or the what was it? Don't eat the heart of a chicken. It'll cause you to become forgetful. And I actually came across that in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch.
really?
Yeah, that said we should not eat the heart of a chicken. That it does. There's something about it that can cause someone to have a poor memory.
Interesting. I
But what other? Um. Okay, the heart of a chicken. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think
so
what
yeah, that
else.
is it's an Ashkenazi custom.
Uh-huh.
Um, uh,
But
the thing is,
I used to love to eat the hearts of a chicken. In fact, my father being in the chicken business, my mother would often, clean the chickens for his clients.
mhm,
And a lot of the clients, there were a lot of internal organs that my father's clients didn't want. And like the feet, they didn't want the feet. So she had lots of chicken feet that she made very good soup from.
Yeah.
chicken feet. You know, we did this before about the chicken feet
Yeah,
with the soup.
we've talked about this.
Yes.
We've talked about
Um,
this.
a lot of them didn't want the hearts or they didn't want the gizzards. So also gizzards make very good chicken soup. And my mother would roast up would cook up the hearts for me, and I would eat them. And I remember my bubby one time being in my house and telling my mother, "Hey, she shouldn't be eating those hearts because she becomes forgetful." So, well, guess what?
What?
I don't know if eating the hearts had anything to do with it, but I have a hard time memorizing people's names. I tell this to people when I meet them. I said, listen, I have a hard time with names. I might, and I have even my piano students, I tell them, I warn them, I have a very hard time memorizing people's names. And so please forgive me if I'm asking you like 100 times what your name is. When I would go, it was those of us who grew up in the suburbs during the 60s, especially in Baltimore, remember every Saturday you walked with your friends to Town Plaza.
Yeah.
And we would walk there, and me and my friends, you go shopping, you buy a pocketbook, maybe you buy stockings, you buy some cheap, costume jewelry, perfume, with your friends, you go from store to store. I was so forgetful. I would always buy something and then leave the package somewhere. My friends would purposely walk behind me and pick up everything I had forgotten. And then as we were leaving the store, they would walk over to me, here's your perfume. Here's all the stuff you left that we picked up after you.
I remember actually being told wearing a shirt backwards or inside out makes you forgetful.
Right. Oh, yes. Wearing clothes backwards or inside out, yes, will make you forget. And when I was a kid, for some reason, I loved wearing my underwear inside out and backwards. I don't know why. Yeah, kids are. They do crazy stuff like that. And that's another thing I did.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty funny. I'm trying to think. I know. Well, there's one that's actually it's a real thing where when you're cutting your nails, you skip every other nail because that's what's done for dead people, and you don't want to kind of have that juju out there of cutting your nails like a dead person.
Right.
It's because I remember like growing up and just having all these like, I mean, the eye and horror is something that's a real thing that I feel like gave me anxiety over the years of like, can't say this, don't say that, yada yada.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna put down the phone a minute. I'm making tea for myself. I got a sore throat. Hold on a minute.
All right, no worries. Make some tea. I'll just talk.
Okay, go ahead. Getting the tea.
Yeah.
Tea.
So.
Well, I remember when I was in Crown Heights.
Yeah.
Like the first year I was in Crown Heights, someone actually asked the Rebbe about the Einahara.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rebbe said to this person, if you believe in it, it has power.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
But I think the Rebbe was very big about the Einahara. I think he felt I think he was more inclined to look at it as like a Bebbe Meise of some sort. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny because I think Lubavitch has this tendency to be very grounded, and very practical with its, improvements. It's like the Rebbe doesn't in Lubavitch, at least, unlike other Hasidic, I guess, environments, that the Rebbe is there as a spiritual guide, but you have to do all the work.
Right, exactly. The going back to when you're mentioning about the Einahara, well, there's a certain thing, like it's not good to show off, because you will draw down the jealousies of other people. And that does have, like, if you go like juju or spiritual effects or spiritual energies, you're not drawing down good karma for yourself by making others jealous. So it's not it's good to kind of like be modest in what you're doing and who you are, be more on the quieter side. I learned that one the hard way.
What do you mean? Explain, elaborate.
On the quieter side.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can elaborate a little bit.
Yeah. But you mentioned something about the Einahar, which all of a sudden just jolted my memory. I remember when we brought your sister home from the hospital, your Bubby Donna was a very, very big believer in garlic, salt, and it's garlic, salt, and sugar. And she put, and the red broitle. So underneath Etty's mattress, she put a bag of garlic, fresh garlic, and salt, and sugar cubes, and a red broitle, the red ribbon. And I remember at one of your aunt's weddings, I remember the other siblings, your father's siblings, his sisters, telling your Bubby, "Don't worry, we already put salt in our shoes, and we're carrying sugar and garlic, and we're also carrying the red broitle." And I remember watching them taking salt and putting salt in their shoes before the wedding, because they were all going to walk down the aisle. So they didn't want to. It was supposed to get rid of the Aina Hara.
I think there's also some kind of significance of at like not an upsharing, but like at a I'm trying to think at a I'm losing my brain here.
You ate chicken hearts?
Little throwback.
Did you wear your underwear backwards today?
It's having like garlic and sugar for it's not an upshare. But what's the thing for when a boy becomes a
Oh, the
bechor?
pinyon haben. I've seen that.
Yeah.
When they bring in the baby for the pinyon haben on a tray, they bring him on a tray, and he's surrounded with gold jewelry. Like, they don't put it on, but they lay on the tray that they bring. They have a tray with a pillow, and they bring him in on a tray, a silver tray, with all this like gold jewelry around him, and bags. Yeah, right, bags of garlic, sugar, and salt. Yeah, I've seen that.
The reason, and I just Googled the reason, and this finally makes sense. You bring it so people can take it and then put it in their food, extending the mitzvah.
Yeah, I
That's what it's
remember
for.
after there were a few pinyon haben. How do I say it in Hebrew?
No, pinyon haben. That's what it is. Pinyon haben.
Pinyon haben, where I did that, where they instructed us to take it home and to put it that Shabbos in put it in the chicken soup that Shabbos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had no idea, and just until now, but I've been to a few pinyon habens, you know. It was nice. It was enjoyable. But I'm trying to think of anything more stuff that are just like any superstitious things that like your friends had growing up that like you saw.
I'm trying to think. There was one time. There was this very popular horror movie. Wait a second, I just want to take this cup of tea to the table. It's very hot. Just a minute. Ouch. Better get another glove. Second to do. If this were on radio, you're not allowed to have dead time. I have a couple of friends of mine who work in radio, and you're not allowed to have a certain amount of time where if you have dead time, if you don't put music on or the promo or someone's talking, you can actually be fined by the FCC.
FCC won't let me be me, so let me see. Try to shut me down on MTV, but it feels so empty without me. No? So
what happened? We saw this movie. I think I had to be 9 or 10 years old. It was called 13 Ghosts.
Yeah.
And it was about this little boy and his family that move into this old house. And they suspect that there might be some ghosts in this house. And so what they did was, for special effects, this is before the days of computer special effects, what they did was they very, very lightly stenciled on the photo frames of each frame. They had stenciled a picture of like an old person but very lightly stenciled. And when you saw the movie, you didn't see it at first unless you really looked very closely at it. Then they handed you, as you came to the theater, they gave you something called a ghost viewer. And it was basically, it was made out of paper, and it had red cellophane on one side, blue cellophane on the other. And when you put it on, the stenciled picture of the ghost became very clear. But you had to wear the ghost viewer to see the ghost. In fact, when my father came to the movie theater to pick me up, they used to let parents actually walk into the movie theater and pick up their kids from inside the theater itself. For free, they would let them, come. And if they say, the parent came and said, hey, I'm picking up my child, she's watching the movie, they would say, sure, they would let them in and just to pick up their kid. So my father came in. So my mother asked him, like, what was going on with the ghost viewer and everything. And my father said, he said, they just had these images of these ghosts like stenciled on the frames. He says, if you look very closely, you could make them out. Because he came in to pick me up. He didn't have the ghost viewer. So at the end of the movie, they had this narrator at the beginning of the movie that did this thing where he tried to hypnotize everybody. And then he narrated the movie, like what we were going to see. So after the movie was over, the narrator comes on again on the screen and says, now what to do with the ghost viewer? He says, if you go into a room alone at dark at night and you put on the ghost viewer, you will see ghosts if you dare. So this friend of mine the next day came, she goes, I put on the ghost viewer last night and I didn't see any ghosts. I said to her, well, maybe you did it wrong.
How old were you again? 12?
I think 9.
9.
No, like 9 years old, maybe 8 or 9.
What's funny is the movie, they did a remake in 2001, and now they're doing a mini series that's coming out soon. But yeah, it's interesting because like in Ashkenazi and Sephardi, minhagim and I guess superstitions, they're both very different, because Ashkenazim only name children after someone who passed away in honor of them, and Sephardim name their children after someone who's alive in honor of them. And it's just so funny how like the whole thought process went, and how there's so much like the idea of getting rid of your nails, of burning your nails.
The reason about burning your nails, that's because there's a belief that if a pregnant woman steps on the nails, that God forbid she could lose the baby, because there's an idea that before Adam and Chava, before the Eitz Hadas, there's an idea that they were created as one being, and the nails, that the material that makes your nails, I forgot what it is, not cartilage, it's forgot what it's called, but that surrounded their whole body. And then after they ate for the Eitz Hadas, this material that forms your nails, that hard material, like fell away. So when someone steps on the nails, it's like reminding Hashem about the Eitz Hadas, and that's not going to be good luck for you. So that's why you should, that's why they say you should burn your nails. Also, there's also an idea too that your nails are something that gets part of you. It's something that's special and shouldn't just be thrown down the toilet or thrown in the garbage can. That it should be, since it's special and it's part of you, that it should be disposed of properly, like by being burned.
So I heard a few things. One, I heard the reason why you get rid of your nails is because if a pregnant woman sees it, she'll be so grotesque, God forbid she'll have a miscarriage. That's the whole point of it, that she'd be so grossed out. But what's interesting was I was watching The Sopranos years ago, and it's like this Italian woman was getting rid of her nails, and she burns her nails because she doesn't want the witches to go ahead and use them as like a voodoo doll. So I've heard something like that as well, is that they can if they can get a hold of something, a part of you. But I don't know, I just throw them in the toilet. I don't burn them. I used
Well,
to, but like,
I had a non-Jewish friend who was part American Indian.
hmm
And she told me that whenever she either when she clips her nails, same thing, she burns her nails. When in fact, when she would, if she goes to the beauty shop to have her hair cut or styled, she purposely tells the beauty operator, don't worry, that she wants to take care of her own hair. She will sweep up her own hair and put it in a bag and take it home and burn it.
hmm but that's interesting because I noticed a lot of Native American uh cultural pieces of superstition seem to carry a lot of weight. Um, like for instance, the one thing everyone says is if you're at by an Indian burial ground, don't take anything with you. And I
Well, there's
heard,
that old belief that if you have a lot of bad luck, it's like, what Indian burial ground is your house sitting on?
yeah, but I think there's one story. This one person I knew, their their aunt was hiking in an area by a waterfall, and she
Mm-hmm.
saw an arrowhead, so she took it. And there was a Native
Mm-hmm.
American man who was there to like do some construction, and he saw that she had the arrowhead, and he asked her where she got it,
Mm-hmm.
and she told him where it was, and he said, "You probably best to return it."
Ooh.
Um,
Uh-huh. It's
and I
interesting.
think she returned it in the end. But like
Mm-hmm.
I've heard different stories with that. Um, like just that sense of like another story that I've heard from multiple people, but one person in particular that goes to my shul about how he was he wasn't religious, but he was going on a spiritual journey, and he went to do this ritual where they go and with this Native American tribe, where they go and um go into like a tent, a hot tent, and they just stay there until they hallucinate.
Ooh.
Um, and I can't, all the details
Well, I
are
know Indians, at, when I was in college, in LSD
yeah.
was all the rage. Um, Indians were known for going from tripping out on peyote.
hmm
I don't know where peyote is from. I think it's peyote from corn, made from corn, but it was
I'm
similar
not
to,
sure.
it was something similar to LSD, where if you
hmm
took it, you would hallucinate.
Did you try any hallucinogens?
I never did anything stronger than marijuana when I was in college, and I
Mm,
didn't inhale.
inhale.
Me and Clinton, we didn't inhale.
Yeah. So
No, I wouldn't touch that stuff. I'll tell you, because um, we had some we had some real tragedies in the
mhm.
community from kids that tripped out on LSD.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say was the whole end of the story before I got distracted. Um, I think he hallucinated, either he hallucinated and he saw the Rebbe, or before he went in, they told him that you already have you already have your spiritual leader. You should just go to him. And that's when he went on this spiritual guide, and he
Mm.
found the Rebbe and became
Who told
Makar.
him that? Like some sort of Indian guru or
I
something?
think it was the chief.
Uh-huh.
It's been a while since I
Interesting. Well, I was talking to once to and that's I was at a talk once from a shaliach,
mhm,
and the shaliach was telling us about um a young man who he learns with, who became from, and
yeah.
this young man, yes, like I said, was on a spiritual journey, and he went to this um Indian guru, this East Indian guru, and this East Indian guru said to him, "You're Jewish. I'm sure you've got a Jewish guru that you should be following." In other words, he told him he didn't want him following him, but that this guy, he says, being Jewish, you need to look for your Jewish guru to lead you.
Interesting.
And that's when, this shortly after that, the man discovered the Lubavitcher Rebbe and Chabad, and joined Chabad.
Yeah, I even had like a few conversations with some people who were Buddhists, and why a lot of Jewish Buddhists